Ever imagined PT with a touch of sci-fi? It's here, and it's awesome. Meet Kevin Gonzalez, a game changer in physical therapy. He's leading the charge with cutting-edge tech like STEMwave, robotics, and AI. Imagine a therapy that doesn't just heal but prevents future injuries. That's Kevin's mission, but it's not just about the tech. It's about a patient-first approach, where empathy and trust are key. Picture a clinic run by family, rooted in your community, yet offering world-class care. Kevin's team believes in leading by example, shaping patient outcomes and boosting staff confidence. They blend advanced tech with a human touch, ensuring you get the best of both worlds. So, how does AI and robotics fit in? They're transforming healthcare, making treatments more personalized and effective. But rest assured, the human touch remains paramount. Join us to discover how Kevin Gonzalez is revolutionizing physical therapy. It's about trust, community, and innovative care all rolled into one. This episode is sponsored by ActivityFirstPT.com. Care you can trust.
What's going on? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? On a brand new installment of the ME Show, I got the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who literally put his physical hands on my butt once upon a time. He is in the activity first physical therapy. You know, I'm comfortable enough. I love the way he is. I love how he is with his kids. I love how he's with his wife. He called me a great friend once. I'm working on my way to making it into the best. That's the next tier. But I'm actually really honored to have him in here with us, just specifically because he's an expert in his field. He's been doing it for decades, even if he looks like he just graduated college 2.5 years ago. But I wanted to bring a little bit of expertise, a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of wisdom so that you get educated on all things nuances when it comes to not only physical therapy, but health overall. Especially nowadays, we kind of tend to just hurt ourselves by a sneeze, especially for those of us who are about to hit 40 years old. I'm not talking about myself. Now, Mr. Kevin Gonzalez, you've been in business for decades. You are a military vet. You are all about the community. You are, as I like to call, an all-American as it gets. Thank you, first of all, for giving me the opportunity to have you in here.
Thank you very much. But I'm not a military vet. I wish I was. My father was. I wasn't, but I
could have thought you were
here. I saw a lot of their.
Got you. Well, I appreciate you.
My son's in the Coast Guard.
Your son is in the Coast Guard. I was trying to take his credit for you.
That's okay.
All right, we'll keep that in mind. So 3 amazing young men, once upon a time children, a beautiful, fantastic, phenomenal, you married up wife. You wanted me to say all of that, right? She's watching, she's threatening me. She's like, I'd love to kind of get into, I know last time it was a year and a half ago, we talked about the past. What has changed over the last 2 years in the world of physical therapy and for you specifically, whether from a business model or just day to day on all things activity first?
I think that, in general, the technology hasn't changed. In terms of the service we could deliver, it's just you have to get more educated on the different techniques that are out there. So you have to stay up to date with continuing education, just to make sure you can fit the needs of the patients. But from a business standpoint, the economy is just
it's amazing, fantastic. We are so rich.
Yeah, I wish.
Everything is great.
I wish.
How's your Bitcoin portfolio?
Non-existent.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, but things are going okay. Things are going good.
Yeah, I love your attitude all the time. You've mentioned education. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about that. How do you maintain your level of education or keeping up with the nuances? Especially things change a lot.
Right. Well, I go to continuing education courses. There are some requirements that you have to do in order to keep your license current with the state. But I go over and beyond that. Every month I'm taking a different course, whether it's online or whether it's an in-person course. You have to keep up to date with everything that's going on, all the changes that's going on there, all the new research. So that's very, very important in order to grow your practice, in order to fit the needs of the patients. You really have to stay on top of things.
Yeah, no, I love that. You've added some new technology as well that we've been bragging about, if you will, for a little while now. Tell me a little bit about, how, first of all, how excited about the fact that your world gets these new tools and equipments and
Correct.
technology in it, which makes it, I would say, a little bit better
Right.
for the patient to get a better experience.
Correct.
So talk to us a little bit about the exciting news.
The technology that has not changed are the ultrasounds, the electric stim, the lasers. Those pretty much are pretty standard. They've been standard for pretty much the past 30 plus years since I've been in the business. But the new technology that's out there is acoustic wave, shockwave therapy, and I have a specific unit called stem wave. I've had it for about 4 months now, and it's really a great device. It decreases inflammation, it targets inflammation, it decreases it. It's really revolutionizing my practice to meet the needs of today's ever-changing world. And in a day where someone comes to a physical therapy visit, they're there for anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on what we're treating. With stem wave, if for the right patient, you're literally in and out of there in 10, 15 minutes.
Which is ridiculous compared to the norm.
Correct.
Because we all think automatically 45 minutes to an hour, 12 weeks sometimes, right? In many cases, is a requirement for the body to heal.
Right.
But from what I understand, this just works even better at speeding up the process.
Correct. It activates the cells in your body to think that it's a new injury, and it supercharges those cells to try to heal a new injury. So, like I said, the first people notice a 50 to 75% benefit from just the first session. And then after that, you do anywhere between 6 to 8 sessions, depending on what the patient requires. And they're better. And it's not just a fad. It doesn't go away after a couple of days. It really is something you can build on. And then when you include the physical therapy component, if it's necessary, well, now you can start strengthening, because now the patient is in a much more comfortable state, in that they're not doing the exercises, or it's not causing the pain that it used to. So now you can get more aggressive more quickly, and you can take advantage of that patient's status with the decreased pain.
The other thing that I think is worth noting is the fact that it prevents worse injuries. And what I mean by that, many times, and I think we all have done it, like we get like a little back pain, or we hurt our leg or something. We're like, I'll just walk it off. Maybe I'll be better tomorrow. A visit in one session could potentially be worth eliminating so many more long sessions, just because you did some preventative work.
Correct.
Talk to us a little bit about that, how it actually works.
Well, with the way the machine works?
With the preventative side of it.
Yeah. When people have issues and they come to me for physical therapy, usually it's after the fact. It's not really on the preventative side. However, what the machine allows us to do is prevent other injuries from happening. So, for example, if they have an elbow injury, and we treat the elbow injury, a lot of times people hurt their shoulders because they're moving their shoulder in different ways to compensate for the pain in the elbow. If you get the pain in the elbow better, the pain in the shoulder, will not happen. So from that aspect, you prevent further injuries, whether it's knee with the hip, knee with the ankle. So from a preventative standpoint, that's where it's very beneficial.
I love that.
You're getting the patient better quicker, and you're preventing them from causing other injuries. How many times do patients come in and they tell you, oh, my right knee hurts now, and because I've been walking bad on my right knee, now my left knee hurts, or my left hip hurts, because they're walking incorrectly. So from a preventative standpoint, if you can get that body part better quicker, that other compensatory issue doesn't have a chance to take place.
Yeah. The other thing that I think, from a practice perspective, the patient deals with you. I mean, obviously there are people who help and assist, but you are the actual main therapist that deals with all patients, which gives a consistent, what you're going to expect from the moment you walk in until you're ready to be excused out with, God willing, a healthier version of yourself. How relevant is that? Because I see in many different practices out there where there's every day you're getting a different person with a different style. Does that make things better or worse? Like, why is that a relevant component?
I think continuity of care from the same provider is extremely important. I mean, some of my competitors out there, they pretty much, you go to 3 days a week, you're going to see 3 different therapists, which with me, I'm the only therapist at my office. So when you come to my office, you're going to see me and only me. Do I have people that help me out? Sure, but I'm the only one that's gonna put my hands on you. That's going to show you the exercises. That's gonna do everything relevant for your care. I'm the only one you're going to deal with, and it's not like the other places that will get you up. First of all, you're in and out of there, and probably about. Now, I'm talking about doing a full therapy program. With me, you're going to get the hot packet if necessary. You're going to be there for a good 45 minutes to an hour. I usually tell people to plan for an hour and 15 minutes, 75 minutes. I ask them to plan for. And I think that's a pretty good bet. But I've had patients that have come to me. I've even had doctors that have written on their prescription, please see them for an hour. Because some of my competitors out there, they're literally, I'm asking, well, how long were you with that previous provider? Oh, I was in and out in 25 minutes. I mean, what did they do? Oh, they just had me do this, do that, and then
So it's a quick
it
turnover,
was
and
a
that's
quick
about it.
turnover. To me, I don't really see the value in that, and they didn't see the value in that, and that's why
Yeah, another myth that, and this is in general, but a lot of time we think it's expensive or I can't afford it, whether it's STEM wave or physical therapy overall. Talk to us about the options that you provide to make it not only feasible, possible, but also affordable, whether via insurance or else.
well, the insurance usually pays for probably I'd have to say 85 to 90% of my patients go through insurance. So we work with them. And if they have an issue paying their copay or their deductible, there are payment plans that we can work. We know that patients need to get better and we know that patients need the services. So we try to make it as easy as possible for them to come to see us. So if they can't afford their copay up front, that's fine. We can work something out where you can get better, and then as long as you pay on the back end, that's fine. So there's always something we're going to do. We're never going to turn a patient away because of finance.
I love the environment too that you have in Activity First, whether it's with the team or with patients. There's just positive energy, positive vibe. How do you create that? Because look, it's very hard to create a winning formula and a winning environment, especially working with your better half. That's what you wanted me to say, right? Especially working with your better half. And, look, I know my wife and I work together and I'll spend 23 hours a day with her. And then when I get mad when I go to sleep because that's the relationship that we have, right? Not everybody can pull that off. Right? So how do you create a winning formula in an environment and it's not fake? It's felt.
Mhm.
You really have a beautiful energy. I get mad when I'm not hurt. I miss you.
Definitely, we try to make it a fun environment. We try to make it a very a fun environment to be, because we know that patients are going to go there. They're going to be in pain,
No.
and if we're going to hurt them, we at least want something either entertaining or something worthwhile for them to come to see us. And you'd be surprised how many times with just having a conversation with a patient, you get to know a little bit about their background. They get to know a little bit about your background.
No.
They know that my wife is the office manager that works at the front, and that some people like to hear that. They know that's comforting. That
Yeah.
it's a family-run business,
Correct.
and it's a therapist-owned business. I'm the owner. There's nobody else in the business. No, a doctor doesn't own it from behind the scenes or someone else. No, I'm the owner. I'm 100% owner. My wife and I are the 100% owners.
Dang.
And so
There was a sign that came in the middle of the screen. Warning, warning, warning. Couch is waiting. Warning, warning.
At Activity First Physical Therapy, we're committed to helping you regain strength, mobility, and wellness, no matter your journey. From cutting-edge technology to tailored treatment plans, we provide the care you deserve for a fast and effective recovery, getting you back to your best self, faster. Whether it's injury recovery, pain management, or preventative care, Activity First has you covered. Strength, mobility, and wellness one step at a time. Our clinic is built on trust, compassion, and a family-like atmosphere to ensure you feel supported every step of the way. Start your journey to recovery today. Visit activityfirstpt.com and schedule your consultation. Together, we'll get you moving again.
It's an environment that we created knowing that patients are going there and they're not in the best of times because they're in some sort of pain, and we have to get that fixed. So that's what we try.
One of the things that I think you and I have spoken about over the years is there are other practices out there that would literally have business within a business. They have the masseuse on the side, and God knows what's selling empanadas on the other side, right? I'm being facetious, but there's like doesn't it change the environment and the vibe of the business when you have multiple businesses and others, and how like focused are you, and how important it is for you to never bring in a side business from within just for financial purposes?
Right. I'm not going to cross sell you. You come to me for physical therapy. I'm going to, treat you for physical therapy. I'm not going to cross sell you on acupuncture or massage therapy or cupping or anything like that. If you need it, and I know that that is what can provide the service and the relief you need, I definitely will make that referral outside. But I do have cupping. I do have other things too. But you'll never find a cross-selling environment in my office. Even with the STEM wave, I have pictures up there, and if I think you will benefit from it, I will bring it up to you. If you ask me a question about it, I will answer your questions. But I'm never going to do a high-pressure sales for you for that. And that's pretty much the only other service that I offer there, other than the normal physical therapy services that we render. But the cross selling is just, I think it's horrible as a practitioner to have to move to work in that manner.
I love that, because that's called morals over profits. I don't know. Look, making money is important, and God knows over the years we've seen a lot of ups, which was good, and we've seen a lot of downs as well, right? And you got to have to kind of figure it out on both ends. The staff that you have is not only extremely trained, but it's like it's a reflection on who you are. How much do you put into training the staff from assisting the patient, whether it's on any of the machineries or the movements, and then their etiquette as well? It seems that you have mastered that as well. So for my fellow business owners, give us some nuggets in here from a leadership perspective. How do you create that winning team, if you will?
First of all, there's nothing that I wouldn't ask my employees to do that I wouldn't do myself.
Yeah.
So, for example, answering the phone, if the phone's ringing, I'm answering the phones. You really have to lead by example in terms of what you do with the office. We go through a lot of laundry at my office. We change our pillowcases. Obviously, after every patient, we wash down the tables. We change the towels. We go through them a lot at the office. So I have a washer dryer, but I will go and do the laundry myself. I'm not going to say, hey, that's not my job. That's the rehab technician's job. I don't do that. No, they'll see me do the laundry. They'll see me clean the tables. They'll see me answer the phones. So you lead by example. And then on top of that, you mentioned the training. When someone comes in, we don't just throw them to the wolves. They have to be trained for a minimum of a month and a half before they're allowed to work with me by myself. So there's always some continuity there, so that when that rehab technician, it's time for them to work without a net. What I mean by that, without another rehab tech, they're confident and they can do the job and do it well.
Confident, do a job, and do it well. So lead by example and train, and train the right way. And the best part is I wouldn't ask them to do something that I wouldn't do myself. Is that just how you do anything? Is how you do everything? Meaning, is that how things are at home as well?
I'd like to think so.
I like that little pause in there.
I'd like to think so. I mean, there's nothing that I don't do myself, that I don't ask my kids to do, to help me out with, that I don't do myself. And there's some technical things that I have to do, like we talked earlier about spackling the walls.
A lot of walls.
Yeah, a lot of walls. With 3 boys, you have a lot of holes in the wall. But yeah, I mean, they can do the first couple of layers of spackle, but when you get into the fine details of it right before paint, then that's a little bit more delicate. That I'll do that part, but they're learning, and yeah, so I'd like to think that I'm trying to teach them different things, different skills that they'll need when they eventually they move on their own and they have their own houses, and have to do these things on their own. So yeah, I like to think I lead by example with fixing the car. I do a lot of stuff with the car on my own, whether I'm working in the backyard. So yeah, I like to think I lead by example.
I love that. You are the ultimate family man. I see it. The family itself, like, yeah, you guys mess with each other a lot. There's a whole segment that's going to be coming out, it's called The Vibe. just a whole fond family affair that we just have gone through, and I can't wait to showcase it to the world. Recently, you kind of got comfortable with being uncomfortable of getting in front of cameras.
Mhm.
You started doing some stuff on social media. Walk me through that mindset of like, "Ugh," right? You know exactly what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. What was it that made you say, okay, beside the obvious of we want to generate some leads and build this business, right? But what was it that you realized that I have to get in front of this camera and, get myself out there?
I think if you have to adapt or you're just going to fall behind.
Yeah.
And in this environment right now with social media, with everything being online, you really, really had to, I had to adapt. And I had to, even though I'm uncomfortable in front of the camera, it's something that I had to learn to do. Just the more we did it, we've done plenty of videos together, and I'm thankful for that. And if you look at my first video compared to the ones I'm doing now, you can definitely see the transition of what I was and what I am. But it's definitely a learning curve. But I had to adapt or fall behind.
I'll tell you what, you are the ultimate professional, and that's a blessing and a curse, right? In the world that we're in, that I'm in, like I have to be a pro, but at the same exact time, I have to be relatable. And every time we have a working session, I'm always like, hey, just like you don't have to hold your hands together. I remember the first time we were recording the stem wave, you're holding it like a microphone. I'm like, you're holding it like a mic. You don't have to. But I give you kudos because a lot of individuals right now are not aware of what's happening around them with the marketplace, and everything is changing. AI is taking over everything. If any of you have been hearing all of my stuff, I am an advocate of AI, and I'm ringing the bells. It's about to take over. It's about to take over. I don't know if you're familiar with Gemini, Google VO3. I know it sounds like gibberish for you for right now, but you can create a whole movie with a single prompt. And it looks as realistic as an actual movie. It is scary. I am concerned about AI, and deep fake, where somebody's going to take your face and put you in the most uncomfortable, bizarre situations and put your stuff online and start blackmailing you. I'm concerned about AI taking advantage of children. I'm concerned. So those things are going to happen before it gets cleaned up. So, but at the same exact time, I know that it's changing the way we live. It's changing. It's making my life a whole lot easier. I have an AI brain. Like I literally have it that knows me better than I know me, and it's like scary. But at the same time, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, "Hey, Marvis." Marvis said, "Yes." I'm like, "Today's Friday." He's like, "Okay, yeah, so we need a recap on this, and that, and you need those presentation for tomorrow." I'm like, "Yes." And just like that, the whole thing, I'm like, "Give me a PDF and a PowerPoint version of it." That is amazing. But at the same exact time, there's a lot of crazy, weird people out there. So I give you props and kudos for being open-minded on being up and up with everything. PT is not going anywhere. It's not a fad. People unfortunately are getting hurt. What's your take on robotics eventually doing what you're doing? Is that a thing that you think is going to happen, or
I don't think so. Even in the surgical world of robotics, they talk about robotic surgery. The robot doesn't actually touch the patient. The robot actually, what they do is the doctor will make their, I guess, their marks on the body that they're going to operate on, and then the robot just comes in and double checks. A lot of times with
mm,
robotic surgery, what it does is that person, let's say it's a knee
which that's not
replacement.
bad.
No, it's
Yeah,
no, it's great. That way the
yeah.
doctor, and even you're talking about, let's say, a knee replacement, and their measurement is off by just millimeter or 2 millimeters. It means the difference between that patient being able to walk with pain or walk without pain,
Mm,
or even the ability to bend. So what happens before a knee replacement happens is if someone's going to have robotic surgery, they go for a CAT scan. So that way they have a base um, uh, knowledge that now gets fed into the robot so that they have the measurements that they need to help assist with the measurements during surgery. So the robot doesn't actually touch the patient yet. With me, I can't see robotics doing that, but AI is definitely part of my um, uh, I can see that seeping into my business already now with just social media and YouTube and all these other types of information sites. People are coming into me and they're more educated. They come to me and they say, hey, I know I have X, Y, and Z wrong with my shoulder, and I researched it, and it could be A, B, C, or X, Y, and Z. So sometimes it's great because now the patient and I they have a little bit of background
Yeah.
information, so now we can talk and we get through the eval a little bit easier because we can talk the same language. It does become because if you really rely on, we call it Dr. Google, sometimes you can get some bad information.
Trust me, I know.
And you get some bad information, then I have to recorrect them and try to drag them down the right paths. And sometimes there's a trust issue. They don't believe me because I read it on Dr. Google, and Dr. Google's right and you're wrong. So it does need some potential challenges, but for the most part, the technology is great. I'm all for it, and I have to adapt and realize that it's out there. Otherwise, I'm just going to fail.
No, I totally get it. In my world, I love it when somebody's like, I can't work with you, and I ask, well, help me understand why not? Well, how do I know that you're not going to sell my information? I'm like, foil head, come on, come on. So I understand, and look, I'm not mad at that individual because that tells me that they themselves have experienced a bad circumstance or somebody they know has, and that skepticism morphed into a conversation. But I totally get it. Okay, as we're coming to this, and again, thank you so much for giving me it. Two things. Number one, there are a lot of social media out there. You just talked about it. How do you decipher between the garbage and the or keep it real and talk to your doctor? How do you go about it?
Uh, that's a good question. I really have to see what the patient when a patient comes to me and I have their diagnosis, what they're coming in for, then I ask them what has the doctor told you? What do you know about
Yeah.
your issue first? And sometimes it's best to get that as the baseline and then work from their knowledge base to move forward to try to help fill in the blanks. A lot of times they're not entirely wrong. They just need to be steered in the right direction. So I try to see where their knowledge base is and I take it from there.
I love that. And last but not least, we are a community-based business. This is a brick and mortar after all. We are in the middle of a zip code and in beyond. What is your message to our local community, whether the athletes all the way to the elderly and everybody in between? I know usually we just, the doctor says, here's a recommendation, go to this, here's what's around you. Why would you want them to give you an opportunity with their needs?
Well, first of all, I've been practicing for over 30 years. I've been at my current location for almost 20. It's a therapist-run, family-owned business. I'm not going to cross-sell you anything like I mentioned earlier. And you're going to get better. You come to me. I have the knowledge. I wouldn't be in this business if people weren't getting better. And patients, doctors send their patients to me because they know that I'm going to get them better. They don't send them to me for any other reason.
Yeah.
And I love the community outreach. I've been in my community for as long as I have. I live in town. I work in the same town. The same people that I'm treating at the in my office are the same people that I'm seeing at the local food store. I'm seeing on the baseball field, or I see them in the community, and that means something. It's just the whole community feel is great. And the thing too is, since I've been there as long as I have, I've seen grandfathers, parents, and children. I've seen three generations of patients coming through my doors, and I'm honored that patients are trusting me with that level of care. That the grandparents are sending their kids and their grandchildren. That's just says volumes right there.
I love that. And that goes from staff all the way to everybody and everybody in between. And I kid you not, like, you have, some of the greatest fans all the way around, from patients to anywhere we go. Activity First is held in the very, very highest regards. And that's a reflection of who you are as an individual. And specifically specifically, the main reason is your beautiful, amazing, fantastic wife. You know,
No
we don't,
argument from that.
I mean, you know, the best, the greatest that's ever done it and will ever do it forever and ever. Matter of fact, the producer just said we still have 5 minutes, and I was instructed to just talk about how great she is for the next. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a special installment. Make sure you check out the captions for all things Activity First, from social media assets, phone number, website, email. And matter of fact, why don't you give us the phone number and website for the listeners and the viewers?
Website is activityfirstpt.com, and my phone number is 732-544-0007.
Call if you need help. Nothing else. He's got great ears, but not that kind of business. All right. We appreciate you and we love you. Ali Madawi in here, the ME Show. Doing it one more time. Huge kudos to not only Miss Denise for allowing us to have this session, the great Alex, or let me rephrase that, Alexander the Great, who was in the building, gave us some fun sessions. And man, it goes without saying, he's got a biblical name. He's incredible and fantastic hair. Andrew Gonzalez, my guy, stole the show today. Make sure you check out all things Andrew today. I have a feeling we're going to be doing a whole lot more together. A huge shout out to our CTO, Tanya Tanika, for holding it down from behind the scenes, COO, Claudia Maritza Madawi, and our special EP, our executive producer, Sebastian Ali Madawi, right in the corner. 100% keeping us on check and keeping the audio video solid all the way through. And my name is Ali Madawi. We are the ME Studios. Until next time, peace out, everybody. All right, Sebastian, you can hit that red button.
At Activity First Physical Therapy, we're committed to helping you regain strength, mobility, and wellness, no matter your journey. From cutting-edge technology to tailored treatment plans, we provide the care you deserve for a fast and effective recovery, getting you back to your best self, faster. Whether it's injury recovery, pain management, or preventative care, Activity First has you covered. Strength, mobility, and wellness one step at a time. Our clinic is built on trust, compassion, and a family-like atmosphere to ensure you feel supported every step of the way. Start your journey to recovery today. Visit activityfirstpt.com and schedule your consultation. Together we'll get you moving again.